Welcome to the Model Health Show. This is fitness and nutrition expert Shawn Stevenson, here with my beautiful co-host and producer, Jade Harrell. What's up, Jade?
What's up, Shawn?
How you doing today?
Super humble. I'm super humble today. I am super humbled today by our guest that we have.
Yes. Awesome. We have a guest in studio today. Absolutely
and
amazing.
Awesome.
Amazing human being.
Yes.
And
he's like walking peace.
Walking peace.
Yes.
Powerful statement.
I do.
And we're going to talk about, for our show, talking about the Model Health Show. Oftentimes we are sharing incredible insights about how to work out, how to up your nutrition game.
Yes.
But we also need to understand that we need to work in because your internal environment, your internal health, your inner game is what's really going to determine your position in life and whether or not you're going to apply the things that you learn for the outer world.
That's right.
So we've got to have strategies for that. And this individual is going to bring some great insights and to help us to kind of dive into that world and walk away transformed.
Yep.
So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yes.
Transformation Day, baby.
That's right. Turn
but
up
first,
the volume.
Let's give a great shout out, a big shout out to our show sponsor, onnit.com.
Shout out.
Head over to onnit.com/model for 10% off all of your health and human performance supplements. We're huge fans of the hemp force protein.
That's where I get all mine.
Choco maca.
That's me.
Right? The chocolate and the maca, the adaptogens and the incredible things found in the chocolate, the anandamide, the bliss, aka the bliss chemical. That's in chocolate, baby.
It's chocolate.
We've got tryptophan, right? Precursor to serotonin, makes you feel good. This is why people are drawn to chocolate, but make sure you get the good stuff.
That's right.
Not the stuff that's been fried, dyed, dried,
tryptophan.
right? Tripped up, tripped into some sugar, right, which is a recreational drug back in the day.
Still is, it's still popular today.
They've also got the vanilla acai, which is my favorite flavor. But the reason that we enjoy it, not the fact that it tastes great,
it does,
which that's a nice parentheses, but the fact that it's the most bioavailable protein for the human body, right? High in edestin and albumin, which are two soft globular proteins. So very, very digestible. They're water soluble, and
right.
You're made of mostly what?
I am water.
Be water, my friend. Right?
Oh, wow.
So it's very digestible. It feels good in your body. This is why we love that protein. So we're huge fans of that. Also, Shroom Tech, right?
Give me
Shroom Tech.
mushrooms.
Let me tell you about Shroom Tech Immune, right?
Oh, yeah.
So my son at his school, right? He goes to this awesome Waldorf school where they're like, he knows how. Today I was dropped him off. He's 3 years old. He's like, we're making bread today. He can make bread. I can't make bread.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of bread, but to see
but
this
the baby
act,
can make some
right?
bread. Yes.
The little kids are like knitting stuff, making socks. I can barely take care of myself when I compare myself to what these kids are learning,
That's why we need that, dude.
But they just sent out an email because there's this pretty tough virus going around and attached to some ugly coughs, right? So it's like sort of like a werewolf virus.
And
right?
it's airborne.
Yes. And so they sent out a notice because even some of the teachers got hit.
Oh, wow.
But my son, A-okay,
Yeah.
right? He hasn't been fazed by it. And it's because pretty much every day we're opening up a capsule of that Shroom Tech Immune and putting that into his little superfood shake. And it's just become a part of his life. And what it is, 300% increase, according to the research, in your NK cells. So these are your natural killer cells. These basically are biological entities that create weapons against anything you're faced with.
Nice.
It makes your immune system hyper intelligent, basically.
Cool.
So powerful, and it's based off of chaga mushroom. Okay, so much incredible data to back this up. Absolutely wonderful stuff, and it has this resonance with the human body. Because some people might be, is it okay to give it to my kids?
Right.
This has been given to kids
friendly.
for thousands of years. Cocoa Krispies haven't, but we give that to our kids. You understand
Freely
what I'm saying?
and willingly.
So there's a
Here,
huge
have seconds.
and we question these things. We're worried about it. Absolutely,
that?
this is the stuff to give to your kids.
Yeah.
This is the stuff to put into their bodies, delivered in a way that's fun. So he gets his little smoothie, has his little cup every day. And it helps to really fortify their immune system. It's a immunomodulator. Okay, so it can help to up the immune system if it needs to, or bring it down.
That's
so
right.
it has intelligence. So
it does. That's
check
what we use.
it out. Shroom Tech Immune, powerful stuff to have in your cabinet. So now definitely head over and check out onnit.com/model for 10% off your supplements. Let's get into the iTunes review of the week.
Another 5-star rating, Shawn, and this one is really sweet, from Judy's 070. Each time I listen to your podcast, I learn and grow. Thank you so much. I have listened to many of the health-oriented podcasters, and yours stands out in quality of material, your interpretations, your kindness, and humility.
Wow. Thank you. That actually, that the end there, it hit me. Thank you so much.
That is true.
Thank you for acknowledging that in me, and this is why we do what we do, and hopefully people can pick up that subtle energy that, I really do care. And this isn't just about me, this is about all of us and becoming the best versions of ourselves.
They most certainly do pick it up, Shawn. Over 1 million downloads.
That's the word. So, it's incredible. I mean, we can't even fathom that.
Right.
We can't
even fathom
1 million
that. Anything.
Right.
Just
so powerful.
Think of anything.
And I just want to thank everybody, because without you guys listening to the show and applying this stuff and sharing it with the people you care about, we couldn't have reached this point. So I just want to give a huge shout out to you.
Yeah.
And so much gratitude, especially for leaving these reviews over on iTunes, because it helps to get the word out there. So thank you so much.
I love it.
Now let's get into our topic of the day and our special guest.
Welcome.
Our guest today is the Prince E. He's here in studio, and this individual just really struck me as somebody, and I don't use this word lightly, but an enlightened individual, and he's somebody who is taking a lot of the ancient wisdom and he's packaging it in a way that's digestible by people today. And it's not just that this is some airy-fairy thing. The numbers don't lie,
right.
And recently he's really just kind of exploded online, and he's a huge sensation on YouTube. And I highly encourage people to go and check out his YouTube channel. It will really help to bring more fulfillment to your life, for sure.
Absolutely.
And recently,
subscribed
immediately. He's like a boy band now, going on tour,
right.
cloud hopping, place to place. He's in high demand. And everybody's going to understand why today. So I'd like to welcome to the Model Health Show, Prince E. What's up,
beautiful introduction. Thank you. I'm glad to be here, Shawn. Thank you. And Jay, thank you guys for having me.
Hey, man, it's my pleasure, man. So I'm really curious, what got you interested in sharing your message in this capacity? What really hit you and hit your spirit to go from where you were a few years ago to I'm going to share this message of personal growth and package it up in this way to share with everybody? What inspired you to do that?
There's been a couple transitions in my musical career. I've been rapping for about 7 years, and in the beginning, I was very punchline driven. I was very kind of stereotypical, prototypical, mainstream, talking about, cars I never drove, clothes I never had, right. Things like that. But I was still very lyrical. Fast forward a couple years, came into contact with some conscious hip-hop artists, guys like Immortal Technique, a guy named Cannabis, Raz Cass, these guys that put such wonderful, everything from science to geopolitics to spirituality inside of their rhymes, embedded onto these dope beats. And it just totally changed my life. Not only did I grow academically, grow as a human being, but I wanted to do what they were doing. I wanted to become a rapper and then say what they were saying. So like these guys, I was very political. I was very outspoken, sensational. But, fast forward to maybe a year ago, I came into contact with some other very, very profound writers, like the Buddha, the Wayne Dyers, the Krishna, the Lao Tzus, and a lot of these guys that had amazing punchlines, just like the other rappers did. They really touched my heart, and I'm like, wow, these guys are simplifying the message in a way that it just totally has transformed me. It made me a lot more peaceful. So I just wanted to share that with others, and the delivery method that I was using, the rap, the spoken word, I just implanted that, and it's just a easy form of communication, and I've had a lot of success with it.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Indeed. Yeah. I mean, again, numbers don't lie. Yeah. Results speak for themselves. But what's so impressive about you, and we've, had a couple conversations, and, it's the fact that you really understand that if this kind of explosion were to happen a few years ago, as you told me, the course would have been a lot different, how you responded to things. And we both kind of have this same agreement that, life really qualifies you. Life qualifies you to be able to handle the things that you're faced with. So oftentimes people get caught up in this idea, when they hit with maybe a negative situation and they're asking, why me? Why me? What do you say to somebody like that?
It's an old saying, they say life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. We all have the responsibility to take the messages. I believe that we live in it's pretty clear, it's not even a belief, we live in a psychophysical world. The world is largely how we see it, how we view it. It's thought, right? Our perspectives, our past is constantly influencing the present, how we're seeing things today. And if we change the way we look at things, the things in themselves that we look at will change. The power is within us.
Right.
And that's what I tell people. I just want to show people the potential that might be buried deep inside of them, but it was always there.
Yeah.
So.
I wrote about this a few years ago. It actually is probably 7 years ago now in my first book. And just having this understanding, this kind of epiphany that no two people, the billions of people on the planet, no two people see things the same way. Every single person has a unique perspective that's colored with their own unique experience. Like we have these invisible shades on. It's kind of like a kaleidoscope, the way that we see things. That's totally different from the next person, So the example I give is, say we're both standing there on the corner and we see this old, like beat up 1969 Mustang pull up. And maybe you're like, that's like an eyesore right there. That's not looking too good. And you maybe are feeling a bit annoyed and you walk away from the situation feeling annoyed. And I might be like a car buff and I'm just like, man, that's a thing of beauty.
Exactly.
And I'm inspired. We see the same exact thing, totally different perspectives. And the energy that we generate from that is totally different. And this is going on all the time. So it's so powerful to understand that it's really based on your perception. And here's the great news that you have the power to change that. You can change your perception like that, And so on that note, are there any practices that you have yourself or any insights that you can share as to possibly helping people to change their perspective?
Meditation is big for me. I don't necessarily get into the lotus posture for 80 minutes, 8 times a day. But what I do is I'm constantly in the present moment and I'm constantly aware of that I'm in my body. I do walking meditations a lot. Thich Nhat Hanh is a good name for people to look up, but he advocates walking meditation to kiss the earth with every step. That loving and kindness. It just feels so good, when you're in the present moment and you're not thinking about the future, you're not thinking about the past, only concerned with the now, because the now is really all there is, all there ever is. Nobody has ever experienced the future.
Yeah.
We only experience the now,
What about Michael J. Fox?
Did you see the meme on Facebook with Michael J. Fox? He went back to the future to today, 2015, and the clothes were the clothes were different. They were like, "Oh, this is what we were supposed to look like."
Let me tell you, my son and his cousin were over at our house, and they're trying to find a way to order these shoes from Back to the Future that they were wearing in the future. Like they came out like this week or something. It's just like, really? And somebody sent me a link recently, our amazing transcriptionist, who's probably like, as I'm saying this, she's like, what? You're talking
about me, right?
A link to the hoverboard. So there was like this hoax video, but then there's a real with Tony Hawk, and it's hovering maybe like a centimeter off the ground, but it's hovering.
It's hovering.
And it's so powerful. And then, of course, with YouTube, you see the huge distinction in the comments. Like somebody's like, this is stupid. Why would, I mean, it's not even, it's not doing this. And then somebody else is like, why look at the negative aspect? Just think about the engineering and the technology and the insight that came into creating this entity.
That's right.
But YouTube can be a whole different thing where people, show up to express maybe their closet personality. So this is something I want to talk about, man. So
your world out
you
there.
did a great piece about haters.
Several great pieces.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because a lot of people in their own lives, even if they're not, a quote celebrity, they're the star in their own life. They're the starring actor, but they might often not understand. They think that they're a supporting actor. So first of all, I want people to step up and be the star in your own movie. Second of all, when the star is getting some haterade, thrown at them, people guzzling haterade and talking to them, how should people approach dealing with haters?
And share a little bit about the piece if folks hadn't seen it, kind of set up what we were talking about.
Well, I don't remember the piece. I forget about the videos.
Yeah, you do a lot of work.
But I think the point I'm about to make is what I said in the video, and I think the best armor is really compassion. When you begin to look at a hater compassionately, they're not even a hater anymore.
Yes.
They're just a person with some type of internal turmoil. And a lot of times the problem isn't even you, it's something else, you know.
Right, absolutely.
For me, I like to put myself in people's shoes a lot, you know. What would make me write an angry comment? I got to be upset about the world, upset about my life to do that, you know. So when you really step back and put yourself in their shoes, it allows you to have a peace of mind and a freedom, so that you're not as affected by the haters. Because tell you what, man, like if you're successful, if you got millions of hits, you're gonna get racist comments. Like I've heard it all, I've seen it all. At this point, I think I've developed a thick enough skin where it doesn't affect me, but I still have to come back to that compassion strategy, you know, because I mean, people write some hurtful stuff. You know, the cyberbullying is an issue today.
Wow. So, man, what you just said is so valuable and so insightful. And a lot of people, the reason that I want to bring this up is, you know, for some people, they might think that haters aren't an issue with their life because it's a label, right? But a lot of individuals are not doing things that they're passionate about with their life because they're worried about what other people are going to say, what other people are going to think, you know? So that hater could be the person who loves them the most. It could be their mom saying that, you know, you need to get a safe job, which there's no such thing anymore. You need to, you know, go to school and get this degree. When maybe they're really passionate about music, they're really passionate about dancing, they're really passionate about teaching, you know, whatever the case may be, and just understanding that to really free yourself from that worry, that concern about the quote hater, is addressing how you respond to it, which compassion is so powerful, and that compassion is a practice, in my experience, you know, and a lot of times when people hear that, they might think it's like sympathy. You know, where sympathy is like, I feel how you feel. And it can be a pretty low energy because you're right there in the thick of things with someone, which is great for some aspects. But to rise above that, another couple of levels is compassion, where it's, I understand how you feel, but I don't feel that way.
Exactly.
And that doesn't, so you're not debilitated. And now it's like, how can I serve? Now I can do something with that, you know? So powerful to bring that up and to practice compassion and to, really, like you just said, to put yourself in the other person's position. I've had this happen so many times, man. Actually, it's really interesting because some people have messaged me and asked me about this, you know, how do I deal with it? I honestly don't see that much, you know, and I think it's a part of my character, you know, where not really confrontational energy, it doesn't really get thrown my way. But every now and then I'll get an email of somebody just like ranting about how I should have said this about this cancer study. Why am I so focused on GMOs? What about this, and this? When I've actually got another show talking about that, which, you know, just click the link. But, you know, it's just...
you answered it just then.
But I understood, of course, but I understood that, you know what? This person is probably having a tough day. You know, this individual is probably frustrated because he cares to even talk about this and that there's some other issue that can help. He cares. And so I respond in that way. You know, I see that you care and I respect you for that so much, even though you just called me whatever, you know, I'm a GMO or whatever, you know. But understanding when I get that kind of response, it's like, okay, this person cares. This person is a sentient being who has value. Let me point it back to him and say, you know, I understand. I see you. Because oftentimes that's what people really want. They just want to feel like they've been seen, that they've been heard. And coming back in that response and then talking a little bit about my perspective, just a little bit, so that maybe you can see where I'm coming from. The messages I get back is just immediately like, I'm so sorry. I was having a bad day. I had been up all night. My grandmother is in the hospital. You know, it's just like, I could have came on the attack, on the defense, if I even wanted to reply at all. Because a lot of times, you know how it is, once the volume kind of outreaches your bandwidth, you can't even reply to this stuff, so you just pass it right off. But I felt, if you're paying attention, if you're compassionate enough, I felt like I needed to reply to this. And it might have made a transformation in somebody's life. just taking the time to do that.
Nice.
So one of the things I mentioned there briefly was labels.
Yeah.
You got some interesting perspective about labels. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Names. We name everything, and I honestly think labels are when you divest all of the complexities of discord amongst humans. I think it comes down to labels. Black, white. I'm here, you're there. I'm this, you're that. Anytime you have a name, anytime you have a label, you have an inherent division, and the division inherently causes conflict, and the conflict will inevitably cause wars. That's it. It's the names, it's the things that we call ourselves. There's an old saying: everybody is fighting over what is untrue, because what is true is indisputable.
Right.
I think that what we really are is none of these labels. What we are is unnameable. It's peace. And only until we see that within ourselves can we see that in other human beings, other beings, also.
Other beings altogether.
Yeah. Yeah.
I shared this with you before when we talked about my mother-in-law, Jade.
Loves her.
Yeah. My mother-in-law, as some people say. But this woman is just, beyond words what she's gone through herself and just developing her character to even influence a person like me who's very strong in my intention, in my view, and my perspective. But she influenced me. First, I want to give a shout out to the women dealing with hard-headed men, because we have a tendency to think we know everything.
I so appreciate
and
that.
we have a tendency to not really like to be told what to do. I don't think she knew this consciously, but her approach with me was really no approach, just being herself, being around me and asking questions instead of telling me what to do, So one of the things that she said to me, and why I'm even bringing this whole thing up, is she's the first person I heard say this, is that when you label me, you negate me. When you label me, you negate me. So as soon as you slap a label onto somebody, you're putting them into a box. And it's very difficult for you to see outside of that box, and what we talked about here in the show before is that we oftentimes label ourselves by what we don't do, So as soon as you label yourself as a vegetarian, I'm labeling myself by something I don't do, right? And so we immediately have this negative connotation and this pushback in life against people who do that thing.
That's right.
Immediately, there's a line drawn in the sand. And that can be helpful in some areas of growth, but at some point it's going to cause frustration. It's going to cause a battle, for sure.
And that's the full scope, the full gamut of labels, whether they're positive or negative. You can certainly relate to this when you talk about something negative or something definitive, like I am a such and such or so and so. But a great example came from Ava DuVernay, who was the director of the movie Selma, who said that she began her journey by just telling the stories she wanted to tell in any means, any medium that she wanted to. And then it all manifested from there. So not just a director, which would be a positive label. I directed a major motion picture with a major studio and a major budget with major actors. But even that, she says, I don't want that. I don't want to be the first African-American female to have been elected to this position. I want to create, and however that manifests, because then I keep it open to what I may become.
Right.
Wow. Beautiful. When you define yourself, you confine yourself inevitably. Raven Simone, you remember the interview?
She got pushed back even on that.
Talk about it. She said, what did she say? I don't want to be labeled African American, just American. I say, why any label? What were we before we were told what we were? What were we before the labels? I might hurt a lot of people, but I didn't come out of the womb saying, "Hey, I'm black." I was told that I was black. I was told these things. It's a part of me, but it's not me. How silly would it be to define me by a part of me, to define my totality by a single part? When I get into my car, I'm not my car. When I go into this body and move it around, I'm not my body. It's my body. It's my body. It's part of me, but it's not me. I think that's the biggest question a human being can ask themselves is, who am I? Who am I? Beyond all the labels. Who are you before your mother, the media, the school told you what you were? Yeah. Figure that out through meditation. You can't even name it. It's unnameable. But you can't know it, but you can be it. Mm-hmm. That's it.
I love it, man. This reminds me again of my mother-in-law and when she actually in Kenya went to the Maharishi school for meditation. And so this is like 30 whatever years. So she's been decades in the game and just working on herself, her inner world. And so she taught a meditation class and my wife attended it. And so my wife has been meditating since she was like 2. Mm-hmm. My son meditates, my 3-year-old. And, but anyway, so when my wife went to a more recent, so this is maybe 9 years ago, a meditation class, she was like, and me and her, we're just getting together, we don't know about, like, it's kind of weird. I'm going to do some meditation. I have no concept of what that is. She had the audacity to call me. She was like, I know you might think this is weird, but you have to do this. And so I said, okay. Because I liked her a lot, and it wasn't even a big deal, right? So, but I was really interested in growing myself, and she knew that about me. And I saw this as a means to help to make that happen. So she had this meditation class, and the first question she asked when we're all sitting around and the students is, who are you? And so we're going around the room and everybody's literally just defining themselves. And I know she's thinking in her head, like, silly humans, and we're literally saying, I'm a father, I'm a teacher, I'm
honorable
this, I'm that,
stuff.
right? Yeah. But kind of missing the point. And it got around to this kid, he's maybe 10 years old, and he had probably the most profound answer, which is, close enough, which is he's like, I'm me, and that was it, and just like, what? We're like,
he's so deep,
right?
From the
because
mouths of babes.
what we were doing was again separating ourselves from our potential by boxing ourselves in. So this is not about. It's great for communication, but we need to free ourselves mentally to expand our capacity.
Yeah, it's our attachments to the labels. I think that all of the labels, they're ideas. They're ideas of who we are. They're not who we are. We've kind of we've confused the idea of who we are with who we actually are, and it's a book, actually, the 10-year-old he might have read it or something, but it's called I Am. It's by a guy named Ramana Maharshi, and I Am, that's it, It's another book by a guy named Papaji, The Truth Is. A lot of people are expecting the truth is what?
Right.
The truth is.
It just is.
Yeah.
It is. I guess one of the things I would want to know from you is, you talked about kissing the earth with your feet when we were talking. So we do have to live in this earth and be in and around other earthlings as they may be defined themselves. How do you navigate that, knowing with the knowledge you have? And Shawn, you can answer this too because you deal with it every day. Now that you've come into greater consciousness,
it becomes much easier. Buddha, when he was asked what happened when you got enlightened, he said, nothing. You chop wood the exact same way. But you do it with a presence, and I think that's what these understandings and these realizations have given me, more presence, the ability to step back from society, to deconstruct a lot of the norms and the labels that have been put onto me, and to live. I think I don't think spirituality is this metaphysical, airy concept. I just think it's seeing what is. It's seeing the truth, and the truth is, if you wake up and you got to go to school, and you wake your sister up because she's got to go to school and she's upset, you feel bad about it, and then you realize, hey, she was coughing last night. Maybe she's sick. That compassion that we were just talking about. I mean, this is seeing what is. This is compassion. Compassion is seeing what is. This is spirituality. So Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It really goes back for me to being in that room that first day with my mother-in-law, my mother-in-love, and she needs to listen to this episode.
She's going to love this episode. I was going to say, I'm going to send this special
something
to her.
Also powerful because she's dealing with a man again, you know, in my man brain. It was very helpful for me to know the benefit that I was getting from meditation. And she went through that first in some of the science, you know, and some of the things that, again, we're using our modern technology to identify what our ancestors already knew, you know, and the power that emanates. You know, we can actually read that our the electromagnetic energy radiating from our brains, you know, like expands beyond our actual solid head, right? A few feet. But the power, the energy emanating from our hearts is like 50% bigger. You know, it's like so much bigger. And we talked about this Heart Math Institute. Now, we'll put in the show notes, Heart Math Institute. They have a device called a magnetoencephalogram that actually measures the energy field radiating from the human heart. You can see it, you know, but we can only see with a certain spectrum, like we operate in this human plane, you know, and understand that there's a lot more there. There's a lot more texture, a lot more context. So with her dealing with a man and getting to my man brain, I'm like, I'm in. But the thing is, once you do it, once you get in, you do the practice, it changes you. And I knew as soon as he started talking, like, he is it. You don't need to do meditation. It starts to become you. It starts to become your life. And this is why, you know, for me personally, just to share this, I don't know if I've shared this before, but the meditation that she taught me was for the Anahata chakra, right? So this is like the heart meditation. And I'm come to find out, which I didn't know, I'm a heart-based individual, you know? I thought I was definitely like a smart guy in the head. No, this is what changed, because we went through meditations for all the different chakras. And again, this was kind of strange to me,
At first.
but there's a lot of scientific documentation on the effectiveness in this stuff. And even the Ayurvedic system, and looking at the chakras, this lined up with certain glands of the body. It's like, how did they know this, right? So doing this particular meditation to basically open the heart, I mean, it transformed me, because my heart had been kind of closed off over the years of just experiencing the life that I have and losing connection with me. And so when that connection happened, I fell in love, you know? And so this meditation practice created this space in me that I was no longer in constant reaction. You know, I was now in response to life, you know? So
Love that.
response. So
Nice.
responsibility is your ability to respond,
Love it.
right? And so that became my modus operandi in life. And it was all because of doing the practice. And then it becomes who you are.
You know, I wanted us to go back and talk about deconstructing the norms. Now, you have a wonderful piece that's really taken off, of course, on YouTube as well, which is funny that we're on YouTube listening to this about getting off of YouTube and the other social media. Go into that some more, because you use this as a tool, but then you're saying, hey, push back from it, pull back from it for some very compelling reasons.
Yeah. The piece is called "Can We Autocorrect Humanity?"
I love that.
I released it late last year. It blew up, got like 10 million views on YouTube and 50 on Facebook, some crazy number like that. And essentially, I'm talking about how we should we should stay consumers and not be consumed by the technology that we use. I have personal experience with going into places, being on my cell phone to not be contacted by other humans around. I'm like, what am I really doing? And that inspired me to really write the piece.
There was an experience that made you realize it resonated with you.
Just overall, it's I think, and it's relatable. I touch on things that are relatable and try to help people en masse. So the piece was really about presence at the end of the day. It wasn't about assassinating Mark Zuckerberg or throwing your cell phone out the window. It was about being in the present moment, because honestly, you don't need a cell phone to distract you. If you're having a conversation with somebody and your mind is in the past or the future, then that's enough distraction. So I was just saying that the human interaction, we got to bring our minds back to our bodies and engage, because it is beautiful.
Right.
Why do you think it took hold of so many?
It's so pervasive. I mean, we all can relate to it. We all can go out to a restaurant and see a couple, and one partner might be on his cell phone while the other might be eating, or it's just so it's everywhere. It permeates the culture, because technology is shoved down our throats. I mean, it's something new out every couple months. So
we don't seem to mind plugging up to that fire hose of it and taking it all in.
Yeah.
Now, you did it lyrically,
so
so even if we never saw the video, it was powerful imagery. But then you really captured that in the video.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I like creating audio visual pieces. You were just talking about being holistic, and that's it. I mean, we are all of these things. I mean, I think some people interpret things auditorily, some people visually, kinesthetically. I can't capture the touch through a screen, but I might be able to get close. So yeah, I just, that's what I do. I create content that potentially galvanizes people to make positive change within themselves. And that video, I was very blessed. It like Pitbull tweeted about it. Osbourne's, I was on the Queen Latifah show. It just totally took off, and
powerful,
very powerful.
So
that's in the show notes, right?
What we're blending, of course, what we're blending together really is the ancient old, brand new.
Yeah,
and not trying to go back in time to when we didn't have these things, because it is, and it's cultivating a positive relationship with this stuff, but more so having a positive relationship with you, and it's so powerful to see when you see two people connect, when it's actually, because that, I really feel that's an innate driving force for us. We want to be seen. We want to feel like we're significant. And when you can actually be there and truly make somebody feel significant, it's powerful. It's transformational. And it's very difficult to do if our head's always down in the phone. Yeah. Not that I don't love my iPhone. I love this iPhone. It's great. But at the same time, it has its place. We have understanding, and so there's certain practices that we have, and I just thought I'd share this with everybody. It's like, how can you do this in a family structure? One of the things that we do is we have this no technology time between 6 and 9. Okay, so it's like family time, and so unless it's, of course, if it's an emergency situation, we need to handle something, it's all good. But generally, we shut the phones down, because I've got a 14-year-old son too. He's got a cell phone. It's easy to get into the Instagram world. But that's what we do. We shut that down. We have dinner together. And at dinner, we all go around, and my 3-year-old, he starts it. Every time we sit down, he's like, who wants to go first? And we sit around and we all give 3 things that we're thankful for on that day. So I'm thankful for having this opportunity to talk with you today. So that might be one of my 3 things.
I'm going to share that tonight, yeah.
But so it's just a great practice to have, to reconnect and to see, man, so it really gets me with my 14-year-old, with my son, because, you're in that stage where, you're just innately feeling that, things are changing in your life, your perspective. You want to be more on your own, but at the same time, you still need your family, so I can see him going through this growth and this change. And what oftentimes happens is teenagers will shut down, but to see him open up in those moments, and it carries over for the rest of the night. So powerful.
Yeah, it does.
So I wanted to share that, but we're on the Model Health Show. We got to talk about the health and fitness, because people see your videos, man. They see you work out a little bit, hit the gym.
Every now and then.
Got some guns he's carrying.
You got a license for that, bro.
Right.
So what do you feel about that, man? What's your perspective about kind of nurturing the body temple, exercise? What do you think about that?
You only get one. You only get take care of it. I think it's simple. I mean, it's so many new things coming out every day about what to eat, and then 6 months later, that's not what you want to eat. So I think keeping it basic, keeping things organic, keeping things whole foods, counting your calories, knowing exactly what you're putting into your body, and exercise is very important. I think staying active, physically active, is something that I do. I try to work out 4 to 5 times a week myself. I was really into like bodybuilding. Now I'm getting more into the application, the powerlifting type of stuff. So changing it up. Healthy body, healthy mind. I mean, what else is there? If we want to be there for our families, makes sense to take care of our bodies. These are vehicles. We gotta clean it. We gotta change the oil and keep it up. So
powerful, man. And that's where we actually first got connected was Selena's event, and it was a health event. So it's like you go out and even get yourself around that type of information. So what was that? What's the name of that event? You remember?
It was a couple of them. I think that one was
Hot, Healthy, and Rich.
Rich, Hot, and Healthy.
Yeah, Rich, Hot, and Healthy. That was it. Yep.
Yeah. And so he was there in attendance, and I went through the whole spectrum that day. I think we talked about the importance of sleep. This is prior to Sleep Smarter. Yeah. We touched on that. But more so, we really focused on that food is not just food, it's information, and just giving people a different perspective about being able to really change the landscape of their internal environment with the food they're eating, and actually having some dominion over that. Because oftentimes it's like on autopilot. I know you probably grew up like I did. It's just like we just eat, not understanding we have the opportunity to kind of create our own portrait, with our bodies.
I love that.
So powerful.
You would say when we first started doing radio together that every bite you take is a brushstroke to the body that you are trying to have.
I said that.
You did.
That's good.
I captured
That's
that.
Beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, I captured that. I played it like 20 times.
Amazing. Wow. So we've really heard it here. That it's the whole thing. Body, mind, and spirit. Cultivating these things. And one of the last things I want to ask you about is today, what is something that people can apply to their lives to bring them a greater balance in the body, mind, and spirit? You already mentioned meditation. So would that be that one thing that people could do, or is there anything else that people can go today and do to get them closer to that presence that you experience on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think meditation would be the big one. I also think watching your thoughts is big because the entire world is created from thought. But our thoughts are not us. A lot of times we have a lot of negative thoughts in our minds and judgments. And I went to an event by a wonderful lady named Byron Katie, and she talks about how to really, what her system is called the work.
Right.
And I did a video based on her, used her model, and it was how to defeat stress in 60 seconds. We all face stress.
I love that one.
Yeah, and it's really, I mean, and stress is a buildup of thoughts. It's unregistered thoughts that we've been stressed out, but we just keep it inside. It's too many books on the shelf, and then eventually the shelf collapses in. That's a mental breakdown. So we have to learn how to take the books off and let go of the things that happen to us. But her system is, you ask yourself, is that thought true? When you have a thought, with negative thought or judgment, is that thought true? And then the number two is, are you 100% sure that thought is true? Because a lot of the time our thoughts are not true. And number three is, what will we be without these thoughts? And the easy answer to that is we will be free. We will be at peace. Thoughts are everything, and I think spirituality is really about taking responsibility for our thoughts. We've never judged another individual. We've judged an image that we perceived of that individual. That's not who that person is. That's an image that we have of that person.
That's right.
So I think that the technique is just getting behind your thoughts.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Me
Thank
too.
you for sharing that. And so basically do the work.
Do the work.
Do the work.
Just apply
Self-work.
it.
Self-work.
Be aware of your thoughts today.
Absolutely.
And take yourself through that 3-step process. It's so powerful, man.
Yes.
So in closing, I like to ask my guests, what's the model that you're here to set with your life? What's the example that you're here to set with the life that you're living right now?
I don't know, man. I that's a lot. That's a big burden right there. I just, all I want to do is be the truest version of myself, the best version of myself. I don't know what's going to happen in 10 years from now. I don't know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now, but I just want to live at peace. I want to spread love and compassion and kindness to people that I meet,
That's a model right there, man.
That's the
Whether you want it to be or not, man,
That's
it
right.
is. It is.
That's it.
What did Barkley say? I
Powerful.
didn't ask to be a role model.
Powerful, man. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thank
it's been
you
a
for
true
having
pleasure.
me.
Can you let people know where they can get connected with you?
Absolutely. Just Google Prince EA, youtube.com/Prince EA. Keep it simple to those two, and you should be able to find my content there. enjoy.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you got a lot of value out of this. And again, the real work, the work is having the audacity to care for yourself, body, mind, and spirit. Because even if you don't use the word spirit or spiritual, that's all that's really going on. It's the only game in town. You know, when we really boil everything down. There's something inhabiting that body of yours that's looking through those eyes. There's something that's constantly having this energy and these thoughts crossing its screen. And there's something watching that. And it's starting to pay more attention to who's listening to that voice in your head all the time. Who's actually listening to that voice? There's a presence there. And that's who you really are. And once you get more identified with that, you can start to put better movies up on that screen, you know, and this can start to change your story, and you can step into being that starring actor in your own movie. So again, thank you so much for tuning in to the Model Health Show. I appreciate you so much. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.